back up so that I can actually upload from a recording quite as well. But with that, like I said, we'll actually be getting started with the presentations in about, or we'll be starting with the stage portion of the event in.
Hey, Matt, guess what?
Hey, what?
Karen is joining us from Germany.
Karen is joining us from Germany. Hey, Karen. So I thought I saw her in the room, but I don't see her. Is she in the room or is she not in the room?
Yeah,
there
she's over here.
No, I didn't see her name in the list. I see her in the room. I see her avatar, like dead center in the room, but I did not actually see her. Are you in, Karen, is Julie there with you? Yes, man. Julie and I are there together. Cool. Hello, Julie. No, I thought you guys were both there. I saw a post either on LinkedIn or on Facebook that the two of you were headed to Germany for something. I don't know what. But I'm assuming, is that Laval? No, Laval's next week. Or yeah, Laval Virtual is still a week away. Curious what you guys are there for. Ah, okay. What event are you guys there for?
Yeah, what time is it for you, Karen? Is it like 2 a.m.?
Working with a client. Oh, that's good.
1 a.m. Yeah, I think
it should be 5-hour difference.
Yeah, I think Nadia is 2 a.m. in Bulgaria, I think.
Nadia going to join us live, or did she just send us the video and that's her presentation?
She's planning on joining us. I know I've been trying to remember. She's been slammed for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. So I just reminded her that it's not the iLearn campus. So she might be downloading this client at the moment.
To keep track of the thing was not working. Good. That works. There's the technology. Every now and then a microphone doesn't work. Last month, like I said, the streaming wasn't working, so that was a big problem. I have an advanced monitor on it to make sure that we're not losing bandwidth. But ultimately, like I said, even though I had a monitor on it last month after we started having problems with the stream, and pretty much realized that it was absolutely not. It wasn't my internet, because my internet was perfectly fine for being in the room.
Is it spatialized audio now, Matt? Did you set that
It is
on
not
purpose?
set to spatialized audio, but it sure seems like it is spatialized audio, doesn't it?
I wonder if some of our panelists are accidentally hitting something.
It certainly, I can hear everything everybody's saying. I don't think it's spatialized.
Oh, okay.
I can do a test, though. My friend David is here at the back of the room. Hello, David.
So, David, you come in perfectly clear to me, but when Ben was talking earlier, he came in almost spatialized, where he was louder when I was closer. Same thing with Tom. Tom was louder when he was closer, but then got quiet as he got farther.
Yeah, I was noticing that with you, Matt. But David, I do hear you loud and clear as well.
Is that a personal
and the dog
setting
barking
thing?
too?
It is not
a personal setting. It's supposed to be a room setting.
Yeah.
But we'll make it I'll attempt to make it work. I'm noticing definitely that the live stream person is getting everything loud and clear.
Hey, well, that's important.
It is. But it's 6:10. We're 5 minutes out, so we got some time. And we continue. Oh, we're getting some more people on Facebook live stream. So, hey, for those of you in the Facebook live stream world, please feel free to say hello in the chat so we can say hi back to you. Always nice to have Francis here. Thank you once again for joining us, Francis. Monitoring. I will be monitoring the Facebook chat. I say this every month, so for those, it does help for those of you watching on the Facebook chat if you just hello and say who you are and where you're from. Our at least I can see right now, even before the events really started, there's 6 of you watching. Francis, who's joined us. Francis was actually at several of the live events when we were having them live at 1871. We will hope to get back to again in the very near. Hello, Margaret from DePaul. Thank you for everyone who puts your chat up there. See, I'm going to like these comments. Just general question. I missed the question. See, I'm not watching the chat in the room. Watch the chat on the Facebook. I don't watch the chat in the room. Right. A lot of people of the in-person events. So you were there probably, if you were in the in-person events when I had education, then you were probably there when Bree came. Correct, Margaret? And I will say, for those of you in the Facebook world, the lovely conversation taking place in chat right now. Apparently, people have decided not to talk, and so they just decided to chat to each other, even though we're all here in this virtual space. But that is okay.
I'm from the awkward generation, Matt. I'm sorry.
The awkward generation.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to say hey to Travis. Travis, thanks for joining the session today. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Cool.
I have not seen a root since 2112 had a VR event, an XR technology event in 2017 or 2016. I'm trying to remember when that was. That was the last time I actually ran across a root. You had a couple people there presenting.
Oh, what names?
God. 5 years ago? I could not tell you.
Rich.
Hey, Robert. Margaret, you were at the museum event, not the education event. So that would have been
Oh, David.
Hey, Rami. Hey, Rich. Thanks for coming, guys.
Absolutely.
Problem.
Sorry, I'm talking, for those of you who are chatting in the room, I'm also chatting with somebody on the Facebook live stream named Margaret, who is saying that she was at a couple of previous events. She said she was at a previous education event, and then she talked about the VR for campus tours and the Museum of Science and Industry and the submarine exhibit. And I'm like, well, that would be the museum event. So that was several years ago. You know, it's weird to say that now because everything in person was several years ago. But we had actually somebody from the Museum of Science and Industry was there. We had the lady from God, I'm terrible with names, but from the museum wow, I'm just blanking right now. I know we had Raj from Intel who had done the Smithsonian projects, and then we also had the DuSable Museum there for that one too. Who else was on that panel? That was a while ago. That was very long.
Yeah.
That was 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. So that was like February in
2019. Yeah, I should go look at that one. That one sounds.
That was a really good one.
Is it recorded?
Recorded? I think so. I think we were streaming by that point. But anyway, it is 6:15, so we should get started. So at this point, I'm going to ask that our lovely presenters come and take your spots that you guys were preordained to take on stage. For those of you who are in the room at the moment, those who trickle in as we get started a little bit later, I'm going to set up the room seating right about now. So please move yourself to the front of the room and take a seat. We would appreciate if people are not sitting kind of around the sides of the room or standing and walking around. The front of the room's better because, you know, that way we can see you, especially if we start getting into the Q&A portion. There is another me that is sitting over in the corner that's going to stay on the side of the room because that is, in fact, our camera operator who is watching for the live stream. But at 6:15, I will officially say to everybody here, welcome and thank you for joining us here at VRAR Chicago. I'm going to do the really mean thing right now and mute the audience. What I do. That'll change as we get to the Q&A portion. But I'll just once again say welcome. This is we've crossed over a lovely threshold last month, and actually we've been hosting this event for 5 years now, which is really kind of strange to think about. That this has been an ongoing event for over 5 years at this point. Hello from Baltimore. Hello, Aaron. Thank you for joining us. So you will notice a lot of the times when I'm presenting and when I'm talking here, I will in fact speak right back to the people who are chatting with us on Facebook Live, because we do want those who couldn't join us in the room in Favela to at least feel like we appreciate them as well, and we do. Actually, I would say over the long haul, a lot of our audience lives in Facebook live stream and the recorded versions of the event afterwards. But that said, this is VRAR Chicago. It's been ongoing for 5 years. The main thing I will bring up, like I do every month, is that the purpose of this event is you in the audience. It is not for the people who are up on the stage to be selling stuff or be, you know, they'll do a little bit of self-promotion, talk about themselves. We all want to know exactly what they do and what their areas of expertise are. But knowing that, again, the purpose of the event is for you in the audience to be able to take your next step forward with technology, whatever that step may be. Hey, Tom, if you would, I see Nadia kind of standing over to the side here. You might want to chat with her privately and see set up to present since she wasn't here earlier. But with that, as other people are filtering into the room, I do have to say we would not be able to do this event if it was
Karen.
Hi, Nadia. I'm going to ask you to mute because we're presenting right now. I see Karen there too. But with that, we would not be able to do this event without the help of our sponsors. So if you look at the side screens, you will see that we have several sponsors and several community partners, some of which are here in the space. And with that, I will invite someone, and I'm not sure if I'm inviting Aaron or Lauren at this point, up to the stage to represent Bundle AR.
You are inviting
There's
me
Aaron. All right, I'm going to get out of the way.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Good to see everybody. Aaron Dietz here from Bundle AR. Just to give a quick background, we're an augmented reality company based here in Chicago. And essentially what we're doing is enabling people like myself who have absolutely no experience in coding to be able to create and deploy full-scale enterprise augmented reality. And to be able to do that in some cases a matter of minutes. So our whole idea is to make this technology accessible, and we've been hard at work optimizing that platform again. So especially people like me with zero code experience can create some beautiful stuff in AR. I think we also have a quick video as well. So Matt, I'll let you roll that.
Until now, creating augmented reality was hard. IT departments simply do not have the expertise, so they rely on expensive developers and one-off solutions. Introducing Bundle AR's augmented reality platform. Bundle AR's revolutionary, self-serve augmented reality content management system allows anyone, anywhere, to easily create, edit, and deploy augmented reality to Apple and Google devices instantly and on a global scale. Now is the time to add on-demand, accurate, and trusted digital information to your communications through a tool nearly everybody already has, their smartphone. Perfect for just-in-time immersive training, learning, and development programs. Easily place multimedia content like videos or interactive 3D models on real-world items like signage, brochures, or packaging to enhance your audience's understanding of your product, procedures, or story. No special equipment or coding skills necessary. It's augmented reality made easy. Visit bundlear.com now to get started.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt.
Matt, you're muted if you're talking.
I love when I do that. Thank you for whoever just warned me of that. Great.
Yeah, it's David. No worries.
Thanks, David. It's been that kind of day. So thank you, Aaron, once again. Our next sponsor that I would like to kind of introduce quickly, because I knew nobody could be here from 1871 today, is 1871, which is Chicago's technology incubator. I think I will point out that Dave, who was just commenting about the fact that I was muted, is actually an 1871 member, as well as Bundle AR, as well as several of our other prior presenters who've been here. 1871, again, Chicago's technology incubator. I believe there's approximately 400 companies that are technically have a presence in 1871 right now. It is a great organization that will help you at whatever stage of your company is to get started. Again, they do focus primarily on technology companies, but they work across all sorts of sectors of technology, whether it's educational technology, immersive technology, AI, blockchain, you name it. They do have people in the space that can help you get your company launched or get it growing, or get it connected to corporate innovator groups or venture funding. All sorts of programming there for 1871. Again, helping companies get up and running. And 1871 has been the host of the physical event of VR Air Chicago for approximately 2 years prior to when we went into the pandemic, and we will, when we come out of the pandemic, again be hosting at 1871. Unfortunately, I cannot make any announcement today as to exactly when we will be doing in-person events again. But I'll say it is unlikely but possible for next month, but much more likely for June. Again, we're constantly monitoring the the status of the pandemic to see when we will get back to doing live events. Of course, whenever we do get back to doing actual physical live events, we will be hybrid from this point forward. So there will be a virtual component, but that's 1871. And our host on this virtual space, and our third sponsor, is Virbela. For those of you who are not familiar with Virbela, Virbela is where we are right now in the virtual space. This is Virbela's open campus. They do a lot of other work. 1871 actually has a Virbela private campus called 1871 VX that they use to expand the community of 1871 beyond Chicago. That was actually a partnership between VR Air Chicago and 1871 and Virbela that helped to launch that campus. But with that, I will say Virbela is really great. VR Air Chicago as an organization has had an office. Our only office has actually been at Virbela since we launched. When we do get back to, again, doing some stuff in the physical world, I expect we'll have a physical space at 1871, but that's to be determined later. But that said, Virbela has been a great supporter and a great sponsor of this event ever since the pandemic started. And have any questions about how to use this technology for business purposes yourselves, feel free to reach out to any of us at VR Air Chicago, and we'd be happy to connect you with people in the Virbela team. Also have some pretty amazing partners that help us with all sorts of things, including cross-promoting the event and helping us locate speakers and presenters. I see representatives of some of them in the room here today, so I will specifically call out XR Women, because they've been an amazing partner to us. Yeah, there's Karen clapping. Thank you, Karen. In addition to XR Women, the Independent Game Developers Association of Chicago, IGDA, 2112, which is Chicago's creative technology incubator, and VR Motion Learning. Again, these are the people who've helped us promote, helped us expand our audience, find presenters on occasion, and very much to all of our partners. But with that, before I actually get to our first presenter, the thing I will bring up is how this all works. Each of our presenters is an expert in what they do, but they are not here to really, they're not here to present to you or necessarily teach. They are here to give you a basic idea of who they are, what they do, what their area of expertise is, definitely a little bit of a taste of some of the cool stuff that they've worked on, so that when we do get to the Q&A portion, you guys know who to ask, what questions you would like to ask, and you can know a little bit more about who the presenters are. We are a very open community. Again, one of the biggest things that we find about the VR and AR and XR community around the world is that everybody wants to connect. We are open to it. We all want to help each other. So feel free to reach out to anybody who you see on the stage, in the audience. Any of the presenters that have previously presented, you can see all of them listed on VRAirChicago.com. We've had, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong here, I want to say we're approaching 300 plus presenters that we've had on the stage over the 5 years that we've been doing this. So it's a lot of people. But with that, I will introduce our first presenter, and I will shut up and get out of the way. So Fabio is coming up first. Fabio from University of Illinois at Chicago. Moment. Join me where I am, and I'm going to get myself off to the side and let him go. slides advanced or anything, let me know. If you need a video playing, just say so.
Sounds good. Can you hear me? So, hi everyone. My name is Fabio Miranda. I'm an assistant professor of computer science at the University of Illinois, Chicago. And my research area is in urban data visualization, immersive analytics, machine learning, and data management. And in the past, I have collaborated with a number of architects and urban planners in different projects that led to not only research papers, but also media citations, including Digest, the New York Times, and The Economist. And in the next video, I will highlight some of these collaborations, specifically focusing on a collaboration with KPF, Con Patterson Fox, in New York. So thanks for having me.
Play the video, Fabio?
Yes, please. Hi everyone, my name is Fabio Miranda. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science at UIC. And today I'm going to give a brief overview of my work, especially the how it connects to immersive technologies. So my work is really motivated by this growth in the availability of data. More than 500 million tweets are generated each day, more than 4 terabytes of data produced by connected cars, almost 100 million photos and videos are shared on Instagram. So this data can give us new insights about real-world problems, such as the ones created by urbanization. By 2050, more than 90% of the world population will live in cities, and urbanization leads to several problems related to housing, transportation, accessibility, among others. Fortunately, cities and different initiatives have been generating data, more and more data related to cities, from temporal data, such as from sensors deployed in cities, to spatial temporal data, for instance, taxi pickups and drop-offs, or social media data, to more recently 3D building geometries, and image data captured at street level. So my work is really proposing methods and techniques that follow a human-centered approach to data science, fostering the involvement of domain experts in the analysis process of large data. And I do this by proposing interactive visual interfaces that combine visualization, data management, human-computer interaction, and machine learning to support data-driven decision-making by domain experts. Here's a concrete example of this. So this is a visual analytics tool that we have been developing over the past few years that allows domain experts, in this case, urban planners and architects, to load any sort of spatial temporal data, regardless of its size, and perform interactive queries considering this data. So in this particular example, we are visualizing a large data set composed of taxi pickups and drop-offs. And the system allows you to interactively query this data set. And by interactive, I mean the response between the difference between user interaction and the visual output is less than 1 second. The user here, the expert here, is selecting a few data sets and then using these data sets to select potential neighborhoods. So in this particular example, we see in purple neighborhoods that satisfy certain constraints. So in this particular case, we can see the neighborhoods that have a low amount of crime reports, low amount of noise reports, and high school average. High school average score. So on top of this, the tool also allows the user to drill down to a particular neighborhood. In this particular example, the user is selecting a neighborhood in downtown Manhattan, and then drilling down to that particular neighborhood. So moving from the neighborhood level to a building level. So what this allows the expert is to select potential sites for development at a building level. Not only visualizing the data at the aggregated at the neighborhood level, but now at the building level. So the same sort of interactions that were performed, that were previously performed by the domain expert in the neighborhood level can also be performed at the building level. So in this particular case, what we're seeing is the selection of selection of buildings that satisfy certain constraints. In this particular case, buildings that have a low amount of crime reports. And this sort of tools can help experts analyze different types of data. For instance, here, we have an example of an expert interested in the shadow impact of proposed buildings on certain public spaces. So what we see in red is how much shadow is going to be added to a certain public space if those three particular buildings were added to the city. And so currently, I am interested in studying the applications of immersive technologies to urban-related problems. For instance, in this work recently published, we proposed a way for users to navigate in cities using this visual metaphor that we call urbanrama, that basically deforms the city to facilitate the navigation from point A to B. In this particular example, we can see the expert using a virtual reality equipment to move from to use the urbanrama deformation to move from point A to point B. In another recent work motivated by this growth in the availability of 3D urban data, we are studying the effectiveness of different types of visualizations in the analysis of spatial temporal urban data. Here we can see spatial juxtaposition, also temporal juxtaposition, and embedded view and linked view. And in this study, we're interested in measuring how these different types of visualization techniques can be effective when visualizing 3D urban data. You can see more of my work on my website. Thank you.
Gabriel.
All right, thank you. Up next, we will have David Wiltz. Sorry, I have the screen open, so I cannot see you. Dave's going to come and join me here.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch you on the pick and pick, and you're in a good spot, and then I'm going to get
All
out
right,
of the way.
awesome. Thanks, Matt. Hi, everybody. We put together a reel of examples of the work we've been doing and building in the digital master planning platform that we launched just last month in March. And we are very excited to share it with the community here and let people know what our capabilities are and also the ways we feel that the real estate industry can benefit from a new perspective on both data as well as a new way of working in a collaborative environment. So if we can cue up the video, that would be awesome, and I'll voice over it. So we started, DMP was launched actually 3.5 years ago, but we built this 3D, in essence, digital twin of the Earth to be able to do integrated and data-rich tours and expositions of people's projects, but also really more meaningfully to use the platform for day-to-day management of projects. And this is not just in pre-development, but in this example here, we're showing how you can track if a project is behind or ahead of schedule or on schedule or on budget. And we also can use the platform to actually do file management for different assets. So in this example here, we're dragging and dropping documents from the Finder or from Windows Explorer and assigning those to the asset. And then when you select the asset, all of those documents are associated with it. And then we're also using the tool to track all of the data around a given asset. So here we're showing the unit mix between 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and studios for this residential building in DC. And you can also see the view of the DC skyline from the rooftop. And with the next example we have queued up, we're basically walking everyone through what the capabilities of the platform are. We've created a digital twin of planet Earth that is complete with topography. And unlike other design tools like Revit or SketchUp or Rhino that don't include topography, it really is hard to visualize your project in a real world environment. And so we wanted to solve that challenge by having different map tiles that you can add into the environment, and then also have all of the 3D massings included. So this is going up Columbus Avenue there. We're also enabling users to add in GIS data, and then we're also adding in GIS data ourselves from different open source public domain sources like open city portals and things like that. Also, with the platform, it enables you to do tours like we're showing here. That was the Atlanta airport, and now we're in Manhattan buzzing around. And the idea is that and I'll ask Matt to pause it here when we have all 4 tiles in place right now. Awesome. So the concept is that the users will have their 3D models from whatever platform they're using, their financial data, scheduling data, GIS data, as well as data about the individual buildings themselves, and then finally associated documentation. And all of that is uploaded and ingested into our cloud-based platform. We're running everything on AWS securely with 2-factor authentication. And with all of this, it enables users to have a view not just across individual projects, but all of their portfolio or all of their assets or all of their historical projects. And I was speaking today with a smart building consultant based in DC, and we were talking about how he could put in all of the dozens of projects he's worked on and use it as a tool to demonstrate and educate his clients about what the capabilities are. And with this complete view of all of the data and all of the assets about the building, it really creates a single point of truth for the entire team. So the developer, the architects, the engineers, and the owners and stakeholders and even community groups can all collaborate together in the same environment. And with this, it gives a view into the project status, the project financials. The project financials obviously can be hidden, but we really wanted to create an environment that was Minecraft for adults, where you could really work in a collaborative way. So if we could roll the video and we'll finish up. We wanted to share also, how what we've built will be used in the future. And we've created a platform that is really powerful to do many things. But now that we've built this platform, we're looking to add tools on top of it. And in this instance here, we're going to be creating a new building from scratch. And so we'll go to the Create Building tool on the top right, and this brings up our Draw tool. And as we trace around the site, we're creating a footprint for the building itself. And we have a little cutout for a drop-off area there. And the idea is that we're creating a hotel and residential multifamily building right next to the Reagan Airport. So on the application automatically knows we're now creating the tower massing, which goes on top, and we'll have a little cutout there for the rooftop bar facing the airport. So you can see the planes taking on and off. And a building this size probably won't make enough money. So we need to go in and actually assign the different program types and choose the number of floors and things like that. So we'll select the podium massing in the bottom, and we'll assign about 30% to above grade parking. Then we'll assign 20% to retail, and then we'll have 25% for the lobby and amenities for residential, and then the same 25% for the hotel. And as soon as that data is entered about the asset, it automatically calculates pricing for construction as well as revenue and pulling vacancy data from the submarket. And then you can also adjust the heights and change the aspects of the massings themselves. So we shrunk the podium down to 6 floors, and now we're adjusting the tower and we're bumping it up to 22 stories from 8 stories. And so now we're going to load in the other buildings in the neighborhood so we can see the height of the building in relation to the other massings. And we're taller than the one on the left there, which is the height restriction for the airport. So we'll go in and adjust the floor to floor height from 12 feet to 10 feet. And then we'll drop down from 22 floors to 18 floors. And that gets us in line with the other buildings. We've also built in a sun modeling tool so we can, before we get to that, we'll look at the pricing per square foot. And this shows the price per square foot for the construction and hard costs and soft costs for each of the program types. And as soon as you adjust those, it adjusts it based upon the amount of square feet or square meters for that program type for that massing. So we're going to be building in all of the financial tools to do the pro forma into the platform too. And now we're showing the sun modeling tool, which you can use for analysis, but it's just a cool party piece as well. So that's a quick overview of what we've built in the platform that we're very excited to start sharing and working on with our launch partners. And we really appreciate the opportunity to share all of this with all of you. So thank you all very much. Probably do a dance. Thank you.
Hey, Dave, we can do the dance at the end.
Okay. All right. I'll wait till later.
All right. And thank you. I don't know. I saw that there was at least a couple questions coming through that people have questions in chat, so they will be able to ask them. Again, for those of you who kind of come in after the start of this event is for the audience. That's the purpose of this, is for you guys to get your questions answered, to be able to take your next step. There will be a very long Q&A session following each of these presentations. The point of the presentations is mainly to just give you an idea of who the presenters are, what their areas of expertise are, what they can talk about, what technology they know. With that, I can see that June is just itching to get up here and do his portion of the presentation, and he is next. So take it away, June.
Oh, hey, everyone. Thanks, David. That was a tough act to follow, so I might look into that software afterwards.
Awesome. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jun Wong. I'm with the Gensler Chicago office. I'm an associate senior designer. I'm also the regional computational design lead in charge of helping developing and deploying some of our firm-wide in-house softwares, some also researching into other innovations. That's kind of a big part of Gensler. Next slide. So today, and maybe just the next one. So today we're seeing a lot of cool tech here. I might just give you a slightly different perspective from the industry and how kind of we have used some of the existing tech in our day-to-day work. So I joined Gensler about 5 to 6 years ago. That's when we actually start ramping up the innovation on the VR side. It's a lot of I know the VR tech was available a long time ago, but that's kind of a point where we started using it on real project. For example, the Willis Tower project, which actually opening up right now in the Loop. If you haven't checked out, you should. We used our very early VR tech in presentations, in design process. We had our own VR app, and back in the day, we used some the older tools, the Samsung Gear VR, which is basically a more it's just like Google Cardboard. So it's very basic, very mundane, but it was a first experience of VR for many of our client or other members that we interact with. So it was definitely well received. It really has a transformative experience, although it kind of sounds simple, but it does help. Once you're in the room, you're looking through a goggle and see what a space looks like. It does tells much better story of what the design is, what the intent, and give the conversation flowing and make everything just much smoother. Go to the next page. So a little bit after that, I think we hit a point where the initial hype have died down a little, and people start to realize some of the drawback of the early basic VR technology. That is that it feels like a very isolating experience because you're in the goggle by yourself. It's hard for us to see what the people are looking at inside their space. And they, when you're in a big group, you kind of want to be able to talk, interact, and also some people might think that it's a little silly. So we started using it a little less and less. And obviously, that's the time there's a lot of innovation happening behind the scenes. We just haven't figured out yet. But we still use it on some locations. For example, the old post office, which is the nation's largest adapt reuse project in downtown Chicago, that we have already kind of delivered. Because it's an adaptive reuse project, we are able to basically build a one-to-one digital model, a digital twin, if you will, and showcase in the VR. So that really help us to throughout the design process to be able to have a replica in virtual space that we can reference to, that we can build design option out of and showcase to the client. Page. And now, a little bit before pandemic and in 2019 is where we really ramp up to this new era, what I would like to call the Enscape era. Enscape, for people who don't know, is a basic. It's like a very simple, straightforward, real-time rendering plugin for your everyday design softwares like Rhino, SketchUp, Revit. It's essentially a game engine. So they are using tech very similar to stuff like Unity and Unreal, but it was tailored for the architects, and it was very powerful in that respect. It was very it really kind of they really understand what we need, and we can show you a video to give you a sense what this is capable of. If you want to just hit the video right now. So obviously, this video is made in combination with some real-time rendering tag, some just video editing softwares, and some I think a Google Earth Studio, which help us generate some of the aerial shots. We do this almost every day now. Not that we are a professional animation company, but it really helps tell the stories. Like you think a picture represents is better than 1,000 words. This is much better than 1,000 pictures. Not just tell the story of the design in text and pictures, but also kind of in its emotional stage, what the space feels like, and how that connects to the city. A little bit after this, we have some clear shot, close-up shots of the space at a pedestrian level. Yeah, I think you can just kind of pause right here because we have a little short on time. Back to the slide. So actually, you can see that this tool has enabled us to design really beyond the very basic architectural geometries. We're able to focus a lot more on materialities, or just the environment, nature, and everything like that. If you go to the next slide, please. Some quick snapshots of some of the recent projects we have done in the city of Chicago. A lot of them are in West Loop. If you're following the news, there are two projects down below. They're in the Lincoln Yard. That's one of the big projects coming up. Two on the top are in the West Loop. We are at a stage where we basically do every thing in Enscape or in this kind of virtual environment, real-time environment now. It's not just for rendering. Obviously, that's kind of a big part of it, but it's so useful in its like a real-time sense that it really becomes a kind of all-be-all design environment when where we kind of basically keep it on and be in it and see the design as we design it throughout the day. If you go to the next slide. Just a little bit, I kind of want to give you a concept level understanding of why it feels very transformative to the designers. Because before everyone, there's always a kind of phases of design. You always have to think about what the space, like how you want to tell your story, what the space feels like. And then you have to stop, right? You have to kind of draw it. Then you have to look at it and see if it really works the way that you want it to work. And then you also have to stop it, and then you have to do some productions, turning to contact a professional rendering company or an animation company and do the presentation for you, and then you show it to the client or to the city, to the public. It was a very disconnected process. If you go to the next slide. And now with this kind of real-time tool making the high-quality VR experience available to every designers, in our studio, we are able to really integrate that process where everything comes together. You don't ever stop designing. You don't ever stop evaluating. Because when you model something, you see it right away in the VR environment. When you are happy with it, you just take a screenshot or either a screenshot of a still image or a screenshot of animation. It's really simple, but it really helped us to kind of bridge the gap, really kind of speed up the process, and we don't have to ever stop design, which is what we love to do every day. Page, please. Just some quick visualization of just an example. Sometimes I will be able to just sit in front of my computer, work with the team, or look inside the space, walk around just like a video game. We'll take screenshots, we look at iterations. We take thousands of screenshots a day just to kind of keep designing and evaluating. So that's how our day-to-day design work feels like now. Is everything is in the virtual, but it's it's collaborative because we don't have to put on a goggle. We just kind of it's just like back in the old days when a bunch of kids played a video game on the same desktop. That's kind of what it feels like. But it's very interactive and it's very productive. Next page, please. And also another kind of added benefit of this is that technology, how easy it is to get assets to add information beyond basic the brick and mortar architecture. We're able to focus a lot more on the experience side of space, like especially now that we are able to stand in a room and see what a space feels like. We pay a lot more attention to the human scale of things, the nature, the size, color, texture. Everything feels much more tactile rather than abstract, like in line drawing. Definitely helps a lot. Like definitely help us bring the level of design to a new level. The next page, probably the last slide. Right. So talking about the future, obviously, Gensler has in-house design technology team that we're doing a lot of research and developing our own tools. But the VR side is just a much bigger thing, a much bigger monster to tackle. But we're fortunate that at least in my limited understanding, we have a lot of kind of competition going on in the space. Things on the right, we're working a lot with Enscape, which interestingly just merged with Chaos. Also a kind of a more traditional big player in the field. I'm definitely interested to see what they come up with in the future. And also we have more traditional players like Unreal and Unity from the game and video production side joining the battle. Kind of want to carve a market share out of this small space, and that's definitely great to see. We also have in NVIDIA with this launch of Omniverse. I don't know if people have heard, which has more focus on interoperability, kind of connection between different environment. So there's a lot of things happening. Definitely, excited to see what happens next.
All right, and thank you, June. Up next, we have our, and where is, Nadia was actually sitting in the front row somewhere. Saw her come in the room. See you, Nadia. Want to come up and join me on the stage here? Appreciate it. It's probably, I'm going to guess it's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning by Nadia right now. I'm not sure exactly where she is, but we do have a couple people joining us from Europe. She is one of them. You want to try talking so we can see if we can hear you?
So
Hello. Okay, we got you.
I pre-recorded my presentation because was not sure technically if internet will not open, so on. I'm located in Varna, Bulgaria. I'm an architect. I'm a PhD in architecture, buildings, facilities, and details. But since some years work in the field of extended reality, I'm big enthusiast. So can the staff start the presentation?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a technical difficulty here. Give me a second.
I sent it, Tom. I sent
No,
mine.
Yeah, he sent it, and I have it here. It's just not, the screens are not changing for me at the moment.
So I sent. So I start mine.
Try this the hard way.
Какво трябва да натисна? Айде, моля се.
Дай ми линка за вашето видео. Където?
Моето?
Да.
Tom, can you grab the screen? It's not responding for me.
Yeah,
Should I start from here?
Can you mute while I do it? Sorry, everyone. Give me a second.
Thank you to the Chicago branch.
What?
Thank you to the Chicago branch of. Yes, it is. If you can, please start it. Аз ли трябва да го стартирам? Моля се, ела ми помогни.
Is it playing for you, Matt?
It is playing for me.
Antonia.
Върви.
Really?
Can you please click? Thank you.
What's augmented reality? What's augmented virtuality? And extended reality. This is our office, and you see the very limited set of devices, but now you will see what we, the architects, do with these devices. On the left, you see mobile augmented reality, and on the right, you see mixed reality by HoloLens. This is one of the demonstration objects of the project Immersive. It is a cultural heritage building in Varna, Bulgaria. You see at left my colleague changes the view of the renovated building, you see the old condition of the building. And on the right, you see the holograms. So these demonstrations in the scope of the project Beam Speed on Horizon 2020. You can see its site on the left upper corner. Now you see again the hologram of the demonstration site in Varna. It's a cultural heritage building projected in 1912. So part of this activity, this model, the model hologram you see, it is photogrammetric model done by aerial video and then photogrammetry. Also, we did thermal scans, and we produce these volumetric objects, but it's pity that we don't have, our drone doesn't have such thermal camera. So we do these thermal scans in different seasons. Here you see the other demonstration site. It's in the very small town of Malko Târnovo, near the boundary of Turkey. It's on the road Varna, Istanbul. So you'll see the hologram. It is the old condition of it, as it is now. It's this is the thermal scanning from them made this model, and you will see in the project for renovation. This is the project for renovation. So we did into it photogrammetric interiors. The old condition could be seen, and after that this is the old condition done by photogrammetry. And here is something interesting you can see. This demonstration site in Malko Târnovo. Malko Târnovo is on distance 300 kilometers from Varna. And we decided not to travel so often there. In the building of the scientific and technical unions in Varna, where is our office, we demonstrate into this building where our office is, we demonstrate the dormitory of Malko Târnovo, the project. So we realized that the staircase is on clockwise, similar, but a little higher. So on our first floor, we demonstrate the first floor of the demo site. And on our sixth floor, we demonstrate the second floor of Malko Târnovo. It's the corridor on the second floor, and you see the emporia of the dormitory of Malko Trnovo. So we glassed this space. And on the next slide, you'll see our last work. Now it's night, after midnight. And this is the scene of Unity, where the company Volucup, they just gave us some of their Volucups for the demonstration. And we intended to show to demonstrate by HoloLens this, but we're pressed with the time and we couldn't. So it will be the next stage of this work. Now we start to improve our model. And it is all. I promised the presentation will be less than 10 minutes.
So, was all we worked to the last 5 minutes. So the event started. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. I will again, I'll point out to everyone at the audience, Nadia has had an insanely busy week and basically was working on that presentation literally up until moments before the presentation here started. We actually we were uploading that video as the live stream was in fact starting. Thank you again, Nadia. And our final presenter for the evening before we get to the Q&A portion will be Travis from Arup. And where you're sitting, Travis, in the virtual space, there you are. I will just let you take it away. And I know you've got several videos. I will do my best to keep up with them. Obviously, the player was giving me a little bit of issues. I'll do my best.
All right. Yes. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. I'm Travis from Arup. Is an engineering firm, I guess, globally. I'm from our New York City office. And my job is not to do anything with XR, but actually to design security systems, whether they be for actually working on a train station project near where David Wiltz had shown that building that he was creating in his interface, to working with some of June's colleagues in Gensler in Chicago on some data centers. So yeah, definitely a different range of things there. And Arup, we also do a bit of research and development into things like XR and some other topics. So I've also done some research into these things, and that's what some of these videos that I'm about to show you will show. So yeah, if you could please play that first video. So yeah, this video is a little old, but basically what's happening here is I am wearing a Microsoft HoloLens 1.
I'm not sure I did a great job myself, but
colleague speaking in the background there, so hopefully it's not too distracting. But we have a test space, I guess, in our office called the experience time, and it's where we test out different technology, whether they be from some of the security items that I work with cameras and card readers, or with XR things just as the HoloLens here. We have a VR cave down there, etc. And what I'm showing here really is just a kind of proof of concept with the technology. Basically, we have a BIM model of this space overlaid AR, and I'm able to basically point to something like a duct or a beam and say, hey, what is that? Something very simple and yet something that's super intuitive to use. Obviously, that's a big point of this technology. And when we get into either using this technology for construction actions or for maintaining a facility, to have something that's that simple to use, we think is going to be very helpful for engineers, whether they be design engineers like us or maintenance engineers that run the facilities. So yeah, just I guess an overarching theme of what I'd like to speak about and what I focus on more particularly is uh, while the videos that we saw from Gensler and from Nadia before, very architecturally focused and very impressive in their own right. We as engineers find that those types of technologies with VR and visualization and in general are not quite as helpful to us as opposed to say augmented reality out on site in full scale and being able to access all of this 3D modeling information that we've created in the office, kind of marry it to those on the site jobs that we have. So yeah, if you could please play that second video.
Show the pass. Show model.
But this is similar actually to what Nadia was showing before. It is a past 3D scan overlaid onto the corresponding current location, again, of our experience lab here. Also showing a bit of the HoloLens ability to scan the space in real time as well. And this is another concept that we also find very captivating for our own engineers, because we are able to capture the site as it exists and kind of keep that as a record of how things were at that given time. To be able to overlay that past 3D scan in situ on site can also give us extra insights in real time to see how things have changed and maybe why things are not performing as they once were, or how things were made better, and we could show our clients hopefully how we've made a space better and not worse. Yeah, can you show the next video, please? A bit longer. One other thing that we like to do at ARF is say that we design buildings with a human emphasis in mind. So they're not designed around the infrastructure of a building or anything else like that. But we want to make sure that our buildings are catering to people. And one of those ways is to see how people move through a space, or I guess we'll call it pedestrian traffic. So we do actually produce a piece of software called Mass Motion, and it basically sends as many human agents as we want to walk through any of our 3D designs, and shows where they might have a bottleneck, or maybe even where they're gazing at for marketing purposes. Maybe we want to put some advertisements there. And so what I'm showing here in the experience through the HoloLens is both at the beginning of the video was kind of how pedestrians could move through that existing space. And at that second part of the video, we show how we actually want to renovate the space. We did have grand plans to renovate this space to fruition, but we did run a simulation of these pedestrians on that new space. And say that there was some sort of emergency, everybody had to exit the door. We were able to show and then basically walk through how people would react to those different scenarios. So, we like to use the pedestrian software, to see how people will evacuate, particular building, a structure, whatnot, and make sure everything is safe. And using this technology, we're able to really impart onto our clients how different options would affect things, and not have to hire thousands and thousands of people to, I guess, kind of flash mob and simulate that situation out. So yeah, only one more video left. If you could please play that.
Security cameras.
Another basic concept is just indoor navigation. Obviously, something we are very used to with GPS and driving in cars on roads and highways and things like that. Do indoors is obviously a bit more challenging given that GPS doesn't work as well through buildings. Using augmented reality, though, and the whole concept of localization, the awareness of an AR device within the building, we are able to enable something like this. If you extrapolate this toward construction inspection or toward facilities management, you can now convey to an engineer on site exactly where they need to go see and inspect, or where they need to go see and perform maintenance on a particular piece of equipment, and therefore hopefully make that whole process a lot more efficient. Not trying to look at these old drawings that haven't been updated for 50 years and try to find a piece of equipment, or try to find the light fixture that is in need of a change of a light bulb that is at end of life. Maybe you're trying to fix it before the light bulb has actually gone out and be proactive. A lot more difficult to do that when the light bulb is still operating and you don't know exactly which one it is. But if you have some sort of AR device telling you exactly where to go, it's as easy as just following the directions. So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you for everybody for attending, and I look forward to speaking later.
All right, and I would say don't go anywhere, Travis, because we are about to get to the point where we do the important part, so give me a second here. What I will do is I will ask all of the presenters to please kind of join me up towards the center of the stage and fan yourselves out, relatively equally spaced. I'm going to make the picture-in-picture go away. And then the last thing I will do really briefly here, and this is going to be a little bit of the interactive part for you with the audience right now. I already see that Dante has a question, but thanks, Dante. Give me 1 second. I'll definitely get to you. The main thing that I would like to do here is just really quickly, show of hands. So at the bottom center of your screen, for those of you who are here in the Verbella environment, at the bottom center of your screen, there's a button that says Raise Hand. Please press that button if you've ever been to a VR AR Chicago event in the past. Excellent. Those of you, please put your hand down. All right, for those of you who have never been to a VR AR Chicago event in the past, please raise your hand now. A lot of you. Okay, excellent. Please all put your hands down. Okay, so the way that the Q&A will work, Howard, your hand is still raised. The way that the hand raising will work, give me just a moment, is I still see Howard's hand in the air. Go. Bill put his hand down for him, but it didn't work. All right, so the way that the Q&A will work here, I will be reading, for those of you on Facebook, if you have a question, just type it into the chat. I will read it into the room. I will try to take questions in the order that they come up. So for those of you in the room, please raise your hand when you have a question. And then what will happen is I will see the hands in the order that they were raised in general. And so I will call on you. When I call on you, unmute your microphone, ask your question, and then remute your microphone and put your hand down. Keep your hand raised until I call on you, though, because I will, again, see them in the order in which they were raised. So it kind of gives me a way to keep track of the order. With that, I know first person who had a question, and actually had a question during the chat and has raised his hand first, is Dante. And Dante, you are first to go. Try unmuting yourself.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Hear you.
Okay, great. This is my first event. I think this is awesome, so I just want to give you guys kudos. My question is for the DMP. I think his name was David.
Yep.
Okay, so
David. How are
David.
you, Dante?
Yes, how are you?
Good.
So I'm very interested in your project. So I had already wrote my question out, but I said, how can I use this for a concept building? I have a 3D model and I want to place it on a vacant land parcel in Chicago, and then ideally calculate construction costs and more. How do I do that, and what would be the fee to use your service, if that's like information you could share, or however I could get that?
Yeah, I really appreciate the questions, Dante. Thank you, and especially love to help you. We're based here in Chicago as well, and we want to see, projects happen. So the best way is, if you could, I'll drop you in a chat my direct email address, and you can email me directly. And we're currently, we launched last month, so we're looking for launch partners just like you to try out the platform. And we're giving steep discounts. We're doing, in essence, a paid beta launch, but we're not charging what our long-term licensing costs will be. But we'd be happy to, learn more about what you're trying to do, and absolutely try to find a way to work with you and empower your project to achieve its goals. So happy to follow up after this.
So to that point, David, for anybody who is trying to work with you, though, in general, is the way that they're going to work with you a one-on-one conversation, or is there Is there anything you can kind of give a general audience for people?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're still in our beta launch. And so we're signing up users on a company by company or user by user basis. And we're helping them to get stood up, and we're helping to ingest the data into the platform, just because we want everyone to have a wonderful, easy experience. And then we're shooting for by mid-summer that will be, totally sign yourself up off our website, and everything will be self-service by midsummer.
So for to answer any questions for anybody else in the audience who is watching this live or who is ended up watching the recorded video later, all of our presenters up on the stage for every event that we've ever done, the contact information will be in the VRARchicago.com webpage, so people can reach out to you and find you. If you see somebody who's presented here and they have a solution and you want to work with that solution, you can go to VRARchicago.com, find the presenter, get their contact information, and reach out to them directly.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Matt. And also, you can just go to digitalmasterplanning.com and sign up for a launch partnership, and we'll reach out to you.
Yep, LinkedIn pages. Thank you, Tom. I'm going to see who has our next question from the audience. All right, so until I see a hand go up, but one thing I'll throw out there, because I saw this, this been a little bit of it. We've done AEC as a topic several times, and I will say in the past when we've done it, we've generally always had kind of a big focus on construction or a big focus on architecture. This is the first time where we really did have kind of a very good cross between architecture, engineering, and construction in the audience here, or on the panel here. And obviously we've got a lot of people up here. But with that, I would say, kind of starting with Fabio, I guess, what would you say is kind of the biggest hurdle to people using the technology? So, obviously you guys have used the technology. We've seen examples of how VR and AR are working across the industry, but what would you say is generally, the big misconception or the hurdle to others in the industry adopting it? And I'm going to go by everyone's going to get a chance to answer this question. I'm going to kind of go down the line, but I'll call you one by one. So try to keep it, I guess, just a minute or two on what you think. Well, let's start with you, Fabio. What would you say is probably the biggest hurdle at this point?
Well, as a researcher, having worked with domain experts in this field, I guess that the biggest problem is VR or any type of immersive technology adds a lot of burden on the user. So it's not as simple as interacting with the 2D or 3D interface on the screen. So understanding the requirements and understanding how VR can add the workflow of the user, it is really important in order to maximize the effectiveness of any VR or immersive technology. And having said that, I think that as a researcher, trying to propose new techniques and new interfaces, I sense that bridging this gap between something that looks interesting in VR, but can be done in the same way, or it can be done as effectively as in VR, but doing in a 2D screen. Trying to understand this, I think it's the main challenge in increasing the adoption of any VR and immersive technology. So, as a researcher, I'm always trying to, specifically now, I'm trying to understand what VR can offer or what any immersive technology can offer that cannot be offered by a 2D display. And I think that we're still trying to figure out what exactly can be offered in this urban planning domain. So I'll say making the case for VR in the domain, in the urban domain, is kind of and understanding the needs of the user, it's kind of the main challenge right now.
Excellent. Travis?
Sorry, did you call on me?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess to piggyback off that, definitely, this is a technology that is supposed to be user-centric, and therefore, I think that we need to make everything easy for the user. Unfortunately, in the AR space, I think that in order to make a piece of technology easiest for the user, the piece of technology itself has to be incredibly big. With AR in particular, I guess the whole premise is that you have a device that knows where it is in space. It could be geolocated, with respect to latitude, longitude, and GPS and whatnot, or it could be it knows where it's located within a room or a building, and therefore can display graphics and holograms and whatnot that are relevant to it. That takes a lot of technology, and as we've seen a couple of videos from myself and Nadia of the HoloLens there, that's a $35,000 set that is not easily accessible to many people. And progression of that technology is very difficult. Some of the biggest tech companies in the world. So, we're still waiting, I guess. We're still hoping, a better headset, a better pair of glasses, or whatever is going to come next. I really think that is a big hurdle in the AR space.
That the hardware. David.
Yeah, it's a good question, and I really think the one of the biggest challenges is, yes, you can put on the goggles and visualize what a building may be like inside, or see what it feels like from the street, but we really see the superpower of VR is adding in data, because there's so much data associated with a building, with a community where you're looking to place your building or your project. And there's so much valuable census data, equity information, redlining maps, and contextual information that should be brought into the understanding of the project. And then about the building itself, there's so much information about, the financial pro forma. How much will it cost to build? How much will it cost to acquire? What will it cost to maintain it? What will be the cost of operations? And what will the revenue and vacancy be? And then when you look at things from a time period standpoint, with schedules and milestones and stages of construction, or anything having to do with time, it's super crucial to understand things along a temporal basis. And then I think the other thing that's crucial is, more than ever, sustainability and ESG. And when you look at the embodied carbon our built environment is responsible for, it's huge. When you look at energy consumption, it's roughly about 40% of all energy consumed on the planet is buildings. And when you start to add in the depth of data associated with all of that, and then wrap it in an interactive 3D environment that is, accurate and a digital twin, I think it's going to be an amazingly powerful way to understand real estate in a way that the industry doesn't right now at all.
June.
All right. Well, yes, definitely a great question, because we think about it every day in a practice setting. What is the best way to, best use case? How do we get over the hurdle? Like everyone is saying, barrier entry is definitely at the devices, their interface, and the ability to really understand. For a gamer, definitely it feels much more intuitive. For example, this platform using WASD as movement it's something comes naturally for a person playing a first-person shooter, but that's not the case for everybody. So we have tried stuff like using controller for control, People, like I said before, people having problem with putting on goggles. A big part of that also I want to mention is multiplayer experience. If you want to keep using the phrases from a gaming standpoint, a lot of what we do is communication on the design side. But right now VR experience feels much more isolating. Like this is different. This is why everybody's in the room. Everyone has their avatar. But for example, if we can actually bring design into this space like this, then everybody can actually have a conversation together using hand gestures and visual cues. I think that would be much more powerful. Right now, right now we're using Enscape a lot, just because we don't have to put on goggles. We just play like a video game, put it on the screen. So everybody's just looking at the same screen and then kind of interact, and then the reality have a conversation. But still, there's still some, even if you lower that bar, there's still some difficulties. Like when you have a virtual meeting, everybody kind of used to that right now. Streaming videos across virtual meetings is actually problematic. The music can cut out. It's not smooth. Frame rate drops. There's a lot of that. Definitely, just a little bit here and there that we have to kind of figure out a way to push it better and better.
All right, and Nadia, last but not least, what's the biggest hurdle to adoption here?
You're muted, Nadia, if you're speaking.
I think collaborative work. Now we try in BeamSpeed, the project BeamSpeed, partners from Germany, HotChief, they have HoloLens, and we have HoloLens. And I dream we at least once to start to collaborate. So you saw the hologram. So we already can move some elements, doors and windows and roofs and so on. But we would like our colleagues who are in other country or other continents to be in our room, or if we be there. So this is, we still cannot do it. So we try, but we haven't achieved it. Seems it's very difficult.
All right, so we do have a question from Facebook that I think actually David answered quite a lot, which was, sort of the future step of having a lot of interactive information. I know we saw in some of the presentations over for a couple of the videos as well. I'm going to hold on that question, Francis. I'll get back to your question definitely, and I'll read the second part of it. But I do want to get to David in the room. So David, go with Beyond Clarity.
I would like to answer to the question about my tenants. I was impressed by experience of Bentley. They showed, I think it was on any of conferences for HoloLens. They probably previous year they show a photogrammetric model of a bridge, but they are done by drone pictures, videos of photos by a drone. They produced a photogrammetric model, but it was just the place where the river, so not accessible. Then they produce model, and they can inspect this in scale 1:1. And for maintenance, it's very useful. Not accessible places, for example, Shangri-La, or somewhere where we cannot go, any ruins, dangerous places, tunnels that are dangerous, caves, also some facilities, industrial facilities where is dangerous, then could be made a model one-to-one, and you can enter in this model. For example, in any playground, you can visualize big factory, or especially for archaeological ruins, it will be very interesting. So you can move and see one-to-one, scale one-to-one. It's very impressive. Taking expertises in of the models by mixed reality, done by mixed reality, because it is one thing to look in a small model and on the screen, and it is another if you enter into this model.
David, you want to try unmuting?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Hear you. Go ahead and put your hand down and ask your question.
Terrific. Thanks, everybody, for great presentations. I think this is probably a question that could be answered by any of your any of the folks on stage, but I'm thinking just back to the nice mix of AEC in the mix here tonight. I'm thinking about these tools and these techniques across planning and design and construction and then operations. I think some of the Arup examples of like, let me go in and find that problem using something that was in the BIM model that's now being visualized in space. And, you know, some of the stuff that Digital Master Planning was showing in terms of asking questions, coming up with scenarios, seeing what the implications are. Like, where do you see, is there a unifying tool set that's starting to emerge that allows something across that whole life cycle to be carried through, or is it still a patchwork? And who do you think should be, what's the approach to those tools? And are you seeing it, in some cases, it seems to be like for storytelling, and in some cases it's to actually, you know, and bring people who aren't necessarily designers into the conversation. And in some cases, that's actually how you're doing the work. So I'm just fascinated by the tooling around this and how it applies across the whole life cycle. If you can get a consistent, you know, if you can make one digital twin, can it be used across, you know, passed along through those different parts of the life cycle?
I'd love to answer that if that's cool, Matt.
Yeah, go for it.
Got it. So what's interesting is that at each phase of a project, there are different software tools, software solutions. When developers are doing their pre-development, they're modeling things in Excel, and it's a financial model. And then they may hire an architect to do an initial massing or rendering that they can then present to the local planning council. And then that presentation's done in, you know, in InDesign or PowerPoint, but the rendering is coming out of SketchUp or 3D Studio Max or Revit or Rhino. And onto design and construction, it's, you know, more fully developed in the specific tools that are used in design, and now more than ever, construction's using the same software, like Revit, transferring from design to construction. But then in operations, basically all that's out the window, and maybe they're using Yardi or MRI for property management, and they may be using Argus for financial management of the asset. And at the end of the day, all of this data is locked into each one of those applications. And so in order to get true business insight and understanding across all of those phases, and understanding how all of that can come together into a comprehensive understanding, we're just not equipped right now in the industry to solve that problem. And that's really what digital master planning is trying to do, is to trying to pull that data and pull those renderings, those artifacts, those massings, and those landscape designs into one place. And I think that we're finally on the cusp of being able to look at things from a full life cycle point of view and take carbon into account and net zero into account. And it really takes a holistic, broad view of real estate to not only solve the environmental challenges, but also to optimize the performance of the buildings and improve the human experience in the built environment.
Great. I'd love to follow up on that. It's fine.
Go for it.
Yes. So from more of a designer side, definitely interoperability, which is the name for dealing with transferring data between design softwares and construction softwares, a big topic. I think, at least on the architecture side, and there's so many software even within the architecture field that we use. We always struggle with translating from one environment to another. Obviously, Autodesk has their version of the solution, which is just half a software for every step of the way, from the concept to construction, so that everything just kind of falls under their version of Beam, the Revit environment. And there's definitely some success. There's a lot of software tools that build on top of Revit, some for computational design, some for energy simulation, some for life cycle analysis. But there's also alternatives, like there's a lot of open source projects, IFC, and other like some of the startups like Hypa that they're trying to promote a more of an open source file format that kind of universally describe architecture, describes geometry in the spatial environment and other information like structure, so that because it's open source, so therefore other software can kind of build a bridge into it or from it, so that it's make it much easier to translate. Because it's not just important for design; it's also important to adopt other important processes like machine learning. Be able to actually collect data. Collect data, you have to have a standardized way of describing data. So that's like the first step that you have to do in order to actually go beyond that. I want to say, so Omniverse, just to give you an example, there's also other people kind of in this market of thinking where NVIDIA with Omniverse, they work with Pixar. That they have their own kind of universal scene description. It's called a universal scene description, I think. You see.
USD,
USD. That's one way to. Obviously, they come from the movie production point of view. That there's some large team of artists, animators, modelers, storyboard people, and they all have their own environment. But to be able to bring all of them together, describe all the design in one format is something that they work on, that they're trying to push Omniverse platform. I think the thinking is definitely out there, but we're still a long way, I feel like. But once we get there, definitely there's something exciting can happen, like machine learning built on top of that. Just more data, rich environment, visualization, that kind of.
Yeah, and just to wrap on that really quickly, I mean, this is the interoperability issue when it comes to VR and AR in general. This is, we're in the early stages of this technology. It's one of those things quite a bit in terms of topics. It's not just related to obviously AR or VR or just architectural use. Obviously, BIM information is relatively standardized at this point, but it's still not used universally across the environment. And the thing I'll say about that is that's going to come with time. There's a lot of companies, there's a lot of groups, very large groups that are working on this right now. I had a conversation with somebody at Autodesk who's trying to figure out how to make it so that you can translate things from Autodesk directly to 3D models without having to do any massive conversion problems. From the 3D side of things, we're obviously looking for optimization across all possible devices. So it's a big issue and it's being worked on. And it's one of those things you just got to a certain degree, remember when it comes to the interoperability portion of it, that medium, and we're in the early days. There are people working on it. There's the OpenXR initiative. There's towards standardizing how the technology is going to talk to each other. All that stuff is coming, and it's still early. Dante, you had another question.
Hi, thank you, Matt. And my question is for June, I believe, or if I pronounced your name incorrectly, I apologize. So when you were showing Enscape, the real-time virtual environment thing, is this Enscape available to use, or is it just like a private tool for Gensler only? I had already wrote that question out before you had put up the chart with Chaos merging with Enscape, which I don't know anything about any of that. But I was just curious to know, is that a tool that I could access, for my own use, or is that just something that only people in your space? I'm not an architect, by the way. Can access, that's not in your field. Thank you.
Enscape is a tool definitely everyone can get used to. I think just have to get a license. It's a third-party company that specializes in kind of real-time visualization for architects and designers, but definitely not limited to Gensler. And Chaos Group is a kind of a more traditional player. They have their V-Ray is their product, so they're a lot of experience in just static image rendering. Now that they're merged, definitely excited to see where it goes. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that answered my question. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Nadia, I saw that your hand went up for one more thing.
I forgot to say something important. It's about the scale, about the feeling. Because, for example, when we have a small model, the feeling is another. I have tested also corner cave technology, and it is very impressive. In a room, you move in this room, and you can see the furniture. For example, you can see details, but if the room is 5 meters, and you have to, for example, you cannot visualize there. So we had a case, we work on reconstruction of a big archaeological site that is 60 meters long. So in this small room, corner cave technology, it's not possible to be seen as in real, because one step should be, for example, 5 meters, and the next step more 5 meters. So I found HoloLens is the most powerful mass the most near to the reality feeling they create, because, for example, in virtual reality, you are in a trap, so you cannot move more than 2 meters, and you receive this sickness, the vestibular motion sickness. Yeah, my colleague advises me here. So in virtual reality, if you need to go on bigger distance, you cannot. So this what we did, what we showed today, demonstrate from one floor, go by the staircase to the next floor. I haven't seen somebody else have done this. I think that this could be very helpful in the future. So if you have to reconstruct a building with many floors, you can go there. But also now many buildings are similar. In industrial, in these buildings by prefabricated concrete elements, they are very similar. So in one building could be demonstrated another building. And when you go on your foots, everything looks real. It is quite different than just to stay on your seat and rotate left and right. So so the movement of the body should fit to what the eyes accept. What you see, this should be fit to what the body feels. So this is very important. And I think the mixed reality will go in this direction. So
That's
this
actually
is,
one of the things. It's a
I
contributing factor.
forgot to pay attention of this. Excuse me.
Fabio, do you have a final closing comment before we close the panel and then
yeah,
up
so
to open networking?
Just two things that I want to highlight. This question of this point of the feeling of enclosure came every time that I interacted with an architect or urban planner in this VR context. This question, this point of VR being important to give the feeling of enclosure always came up. So that's one important aspect of VR. And the other thing that I just want to highlight is that this is a new field, but it kind of cuts through several domains, of course, urban planning, architecture, but also civil engineering, computer science, and through several subfields of these domains. So, for instance, in computer science, computer graphics, machine learning, optimization, etc. So this question of standards is kind of fundamental, not only to make the outcomes available to a broader community, but also to make sure that whatever research project starts in this domain can be easily started without having to kind of rewrite several lines of code in order to make sure that there is a way to communicate between these two boxes, right? So coming up with standards and making sure that these standards talk between different APIs and different toolboxes is really important, not only to make sure that the outcomes are widely accessible, but also to facilitate research in this domain.
All right, and so with that, I'm going to say, and again, this, just full disclosure here, except for those of you who are it's 2 in the morning, and if you want to get out of here, the event is not officially actually over. The event, at this point, we're going to go into an open networking session. So what will happen next is we're basically going to have the audience, the chairs are going to go away, and there's going to be private volumes on the floor, and we'll be able to go into private discussions with everybody. But first, before we get to that, I did want to say once again, thank you to everybody on our panel here this evening. So Fabio, David, June, Nadia, and Travis, thank you very much for joining us. This has been a ton of information, frankly. And so I'll leave it at that, and there will be plenty to go with. If you'll notice on the side screens, I'm putting up the schedule for the upcoming events. We'll be talking about automotive and logistics at the next event in May. That's going to be our industry topic. Those are all of our tags on our social media. We would please ask everybody in the audience watching live here in Virbela, those on Facebook, as well as those who are going to be watching the video later. Follow us on social media, tag us, reach out to us. If you have questions, if you want to connect with anybody, please reach out, send us an email. We're happy to connect you with anybody who's ever presented on this stage at any time. If you want us to connect you with somebody who presented 4 years ago, we're happy to do that. But what's going to come next for the rest of the event here, just for those of you who are aware? Right about now, I'm going to make all the seating that is in the audience go away, and everyone's going to be standing up. And then what will happen in a few moments after I do that is you will see these little blue circles show up on the floor. If you are standing in one of those blue circles, you will only be able to hear and speak to the people who are in the same blue circle as you. If you are not in a blue circle, you'll be able to kind of talk to the people who are in the rest of the room. But for those of you who are watching on Facebook, this is the point where shortly after I finish this here, I'm going to be cutting off the live feed to Facebook. This is for the people who are in the room to be able to do their networking. But again, anybody on Facebook watching, feel free to connect with anybody who's in the space. All of our information, all the presenters' information will be on vrarchicago.com, as well as their LinkedIn links and the ways to get in touch with them. But so with that, once again, thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our presenters and panelists. Thank you to all of you in the audience who have joined us. I've had a pretty decent sized audience here today. And once again, Francis on Facebook and some of the others on Facebook. I saw KT and Aaron and Margaret. Thanks for joining us. They're the ones who at least introduced themselves. We'll be doing some dancing in Virbela here going forward. I'm going to turn on the private volumes in just a moment here. Again, once I do, if everything kind of goes quiet, just please look down on the floor and realize that you'll only be able to see and hear the people who are in the same circle with you. So the private volumes are going on right about now. Again, thank you, everybody. I'm going to be turning off the live feed in just a few moments. We look forward to private conversations and talking with you all there. Thanks.